G'day folks, Conor here, back with another video. The Nothing 3A is being leaked everywhere and announced everywhere, but it's yet to hit the shelves. Which made me ask the question, should you get the Nothing 3A when it's released? Or should you get the Nothing 2A? The Nothing 2A in 2025. Is it still a good buy and should you waste your money on it? Well, let's find out. Now, the most obvious thing with any phone when you look at it is the design and build. Maybe not so much with cases on them, but I didn't buy a case when I got the Nothing Phone 2A. Why would you get a case for this? Look at it, it looks amazing. And my absolutely favorite part of this phone is the volume rockers. Look at that, two-tone, I love it. It's old school look. And same with the power button, two-tone. Looks awesome, absolutely love it. And I do love the whole design of this phone. Now, will the 3A have the same look? I think it kind of will. They do pride themselves on being different. The glyph. I'm not sure what they're going to do there, but I reckon they're going to stick with it, and I would stick with it. I think it's something unique and something different. And it's hard to be different at $400. So I think they'll stick with that. But that's beside the point. What else have we got here that would stop you from upgrading to the 3A? Now, they are saying the 3A is going to be IP54. So is this. Right now, this is like 25% off. They're trying to get rid of it so that they can bring out the 3A. And those that wanted a Nothing phone have to get the latest one. So there's some really good deals on this right now. Now, we're not sure on the peak brightness levels of the Nothing 3A, but the Nothing 2A is coming in at 1300 nits peak brightness, which is plenty enough, I've noticed, for me. I've been using this outdoors in the hot, bright Australian sun, and I really haven't wanted for more. I mean, it could be brighter, like some of the flagships are going up to 3000 nit brightness, but for 400 Aussie dollars, or maybe like 200 or 150 US dollars, 1300 nits is what you would expect. It's actually quite good. And the display, 1080p, but you get 120 hertz refresh rate. So you get a nice smooth feel to it. Now, it doesn't go down to 1 hertz like some of the flagships, but it goes 60 or 120. I like it. My experience with the display is really nice. Now, they're both AMOLED and they both come with HDR10+, so no big upgrades there if you're going to the 3A. I'd be surprised if they add anything more in at the price point. And the 3A is tipped to be 0.1 of a millimeter bigger. So again, nothing big there. So look, from a display point of view, you're not really getting anything special by upgrading. From a build and quality point of view, you're not getting anything new by upgrading. The glyph still comes with all the same glyph features, so it's hard to sell it. It's hard to sell the 3A from my point of view. You got to remember, when you get a phone, what do you fucking do with it? You know, you're not doing much. You're taking photos, you're reading emails, you're chatting on your social messages and scrolling up and down. You know, you don't need the 3A to do that. The 2A is doing that just fine. And I don't think you're going to get many big improvements by going to the 3A. Anyway, I can easily ramble on, but I need to stick to the topics. Let's go to software. A very clean Android experience. Now, it kind of reminds me of CyanogenMod because it's actually a Pac-Man ROM, which is pretty cool, but it's a little bit laggy. It's a little bit laggy here and there, and I don't know if that's the software or the hardware, but I have noticed it. Now, bear in mind, my daily driver is the Pixel 8 Pro, so I'm getting some massive differences there in the experience. But for $399 Aussie dollars, I did notice a little bit of lag, but it's the kind of lag you're paying for, you know? You're paying $399, you get what you get. I don't think the 3A is going to offer you much more. Now, the Nothing Phone 2A actually has Nothing OS version 3.0 installed. I do believe that the 3A is going to come with Nothing OS version 3.1, but they will both be running Android 15, and you still get a couple more years, maybe 3 more years left of software updates on the 2A. So again, not too many big things here that you're missing out on if you don't upgrade. Software, it is cool. I like it. I like the bare bones of it, and being a Nothing phone, I decided to try it in 2 different ways. I went with all my usual social media installed on it, and then I took everything off and just had the basics like the web browser, Chrome, WhatsApp, and a couple other messaging apps, and that's it. Nothing else installed on it, so no social media use. And I kind of liked it. I kind of liked like getting rid of all that other shit that just floats in your life, you know, the scrolling apps, the social media, taking it all off and just having a nothing phone with nothing on it was absolutely really cool. So software, again, it's not a strong selling point for me to say to you, upgrade to the Nothing Phone 3A, because you're not getting that much difference. Now, you might see some performance improvements because of the hardware. I do want to be honest about this. This is where you're going to get some upgrades that I think are worth considering. But again, the price difference here might make it not worth it. And remembering what we actually do on our phones, which is just scrolling and wasting time. So do you need to upgrade? So when I look at them side by side here on my computer, I can see that we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 on the Nothing Phone 3A. And on the Nothing Phone 2A, we have the MediaTek 7200 Pro. Both of those chips are 4 nanometers. So consider that. Now the 2A that I have is 8 gigs of RAM with up to 8 gigs of expandable storage, which I don't really care for because I think it's a bit of a gimmick. But on the 3A, we also get 8 gigs as the base, but on both of them, your top is 12 gigs of RAM. So 128 gig and 8 gigs of RAM, that's what I have. Or you can go 256 gig with 12 gigs of RAM. So same again. So you're really looking at the MediaTek versus the Snapdragon. Then you're looking at the Adreno 710 processor versus the Mali G610 MC4. I think in the 2A, the hardware is inferior to the new and upcoming 3A. So consider that. The Snapdragon will take you into the future a bit more than the 2A. Now, I do think any phone manufacturer worth their salt would be looking at, what are we going to put in the 3A? Right, scrap that and let's make it the 4A specs in the 3A. I think that's how people would get ahead, but they're really not jumping ahead in leaps and bounds here. Across the industry and across all price points, we're seeing incremental updates. And I think the smartphone market is very structured now and very solid, and you get what you get across the spectrum. Now, battery life has been superior with the Nothing Phone 2A, and I think it will be as well with the Nothing Phone 3A. Maybe slightly more aggressive, because I know that the MediaTek, for me, when I use MediaTek phones, they are very friendly when it comes to power management. And I notice with Snapdragon, they tend to drain through the power a lot quicker. So I think the battery life will not be as good in the 3A. That's a guess. It's a wild guess, but based on many, many years of trying out different phones, the Snapdragon is definitely more power hungry. Think about that, but it's not going to be a big difference. I get 2 days use out of this without a problem. They advertise it as 2 days battery life, and you get 2 days battery life. I do not get that on my flagship Pixel 8 Pro. I just don't. So kudos to Nothing and their crazy power management that they have here on the Nothing phones. Now, I've done light gaming on the Nothing Phone 2A and it performs really well. It just performs well at everything I throw at it. Now, I did go to the Nothing Phone community and look at some of the problems that other users were facing, and I haven't had any of them here with this device. For me, the experience has been flawless across the board. Now, a lot of you buy phones and one of your big decision makers in the process is the camera. What do we get here for 399 Aussie dollars? Well, you get a $399 camera. Look, for outdoors in good lighting, it provides good photos, and you can see from some of these that they're just fine. When you get in low light, things start to get grainy, washed out, pixelated, like on any phone in this price point. Do I expect the Nothing Phone 3A to be better? Yes, but worth paying more for? No. But in one area, it might matter for some of you, and that's in the 3A, you're going to get a telephoto lens. That's pretty cool at this price point. So here we have 2 lenses. we have a 50 megapixel wide angle lens and a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, and they both perform pretty well. But on the upcoming 3A, you actually get another 50 megapixel telephoto. 4K 30, 1080p 60. This is the sort of stabilization you can expect on the rear facing camera. "4K 30, good lighting, almost golden hour stabilization." This is the front facing camera on the Nothing Phone 2A, 1080p, 30 frames per second. You can be the judge of it. Looks like the highlights are getting blown out pretty bad. Shadows are pretty dark, but it's a $399 front facing camera. Well, in that sort of light there, it looks okay, but when I put the sun behind me, the sky just sort of blows out. But you know, like I say, $3.99 in Australia, $4 US. And this is the rear facing camera, 4K 30, and you've got the sky behind me where the sun is, not as blown out, but still low end phone, so low end video quality, but not too bad. If I pay $3.99 for this, I'd be happy. And just as I start walking, so you can see the stabilization of the front facing camera. Obviously it's a 32 megapixel camera, handheld. This is the sort of stable you can imagine. Sorry, this is the sort of stabilization you can expect. Now for the photos on the front facing camera, it's a 32 megapixel and tipped to be the same shooter on the 3A. And to be honest, they're a little bit washed out, they're a little bit hokey pokey, they're not the greatest front facing cameras. Although it's 32 megapixels, it's very sharp. If you turn off all the beauty filters, it's like digitally sharp. It's not the best look, but I'm not expecting it to be any different on the 3A. So this is not really a put down of either phone. It's just what you get in the market for this price point. So again, it's not a reason to upgrade. The Nothing Phone 2A can be your shooter for another 12 months. I really think that you can wait to the 4A. Now, if you're just looking at a Nothing phone and you haven't had one before and the 2A or 3A is an option, depending on the price, maybe just get the 3A. I mean, the price isn't going to be that much different, but if you're on the 2A and you want to upgrade to the 3A, definitely not worth it. Overall though, it's a great phone. The display is good, the software is good, the looks are amazing, the battery life is amazing, the camera is okay. So for the price, Nothing Phone 2A gets my tick of approval even in 2025, and you don't need to get the Nothing Phone 3A. Sorry, Nothing. That's it. I'm done with this video. I will catch you all in the next one. Check it.